Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Don't Overthink It podcast. I am one of your hosts, Donny, and beside me is my co-host, Fighting Irish, also known as Irish. This is a place where we bring you a bit of everything: sports, video games, and whatever else is going on. We like to keep things simple and sweet, so let's get started.
What's going on, Donnie, man? How you doing, dude?
I'm doing pretty good. It's been a long day, but it's been pretty good.
Yeah, I understand that, man. I was gonna ask you about like what do you like for movies and stuff like that. I was thinking the other day about like how the current movies in today's society versus the old school movies. I don't know exactly how old you are, but I've been around for a little while, so I've seen a certain change in movies over the last, I don't know, 20 years. I was wondering, have you ever seen the movie Boondock Saints?
Unfortunately, I have not. I don't think I have, honestly.
It's about these two Irish twin brothers who decide to, I guess, like kind of rid the city of evil crime bosses and stuff like that. It was out for a long time before it ever gained any traction. Dude, it became like this cult classic. It had been out for many, many years before I ever even discovered it, and somebody told me about it. I watched it and just fell in love with it. It's an awesome movie, dude. I think it's worth checking out. Is there any certain movies that you could think back to that you enjoyed watching, either newer or older? It doesn't really matter.
So, I'm kind of I'm not a really big movie guy. I don't really like to go to the movies a whole lot. But if I had to pick a movie that I would fall back on, would probably be the Friday Night Lights from 2006, starring Tim McGraw,
Yeah.
Billy Bob Thornton, stuff like that. That would be the movie I would pick.
No, well, that's because that's close to your, personal thing with your coaching and stuff like that. So I could see you liking some movie like that, which is a good movie. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Go ahead.
I say yeah, that's football is one of my passionate sports that I played in high school.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, who doesn't like football, really? It's sad that not football related, but sports related is my New York Yankees lost the World Series, dude.
That was a close one. That was a good battle.
Yeah, it sucks, man. But like I was saying in the last episode, I'm not a diehard fan to where it's going to make or break me. Of course, I wanted them to win, but just didn't happen this year.
Yeah, no, they definitely put up a fight. They were down. They were leading the game, and then I think it was like by five or something like that. I didn't really watch it. I was busy doing other things, but I did watch some of the highlights where the Dodgers came back and won it.
Sad day, man. Is there anything that you would like to talk about, dude?
So I was sitting here thinking and just kind of going through the different topics that we could come up on, and there was a list that was brought up, and I kind of ran into something that's kind of interesting. Um, Unusual jobs and side hustles. Now, there's a lot of different with like COVID and everything. Everybody started doing things from home. You get a lot of eBay sellers and stuff like that. Stuff that
Yeah.
just do different things. People just trying to make a living on a side hustle, especially with the way prices are going up nowadays. Um, but I found three jobs that were one of them was kind of awkward, but then the other two were kind of interesting. Um, the first one is the awkward one, and that's the what is it? Online surveys. Getting paid to do online surveys. That seems kind of weird to me. Just kind of one of those weird jobs. You know.
Yeah. I've never known anybody that's done anything like that. So I have no
Yeah.
experience with it, but I knew it was a thing. It's kind of
No.
I feel like that would be kind of a boring side hustle. And there's so many other things out there you could do.
And how many surveys would you have to do in order to like make a living off of that? I mean, that's like at least I don't know. It depends on what you get paid per survey, I guess.
I
I'm
mean,
assuming it can't be too much.
I would imagine it would be a ton of them to make any kind of, notable income.
Yeah. The next unusual job I saw was reselling stuff. Um, I actually saw this one and I thought it was pretty interesting. Got me thinking about some stuff as well. Um, just like getting wood furniture or couches, reupholstering them, and then getting like desks or kitchen tables and sanding them down, restaining them or revarnishing them and reselling them.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be an interesting gig to do.
Yeah. Now this gig, I know a lot of people that personally that do stuff similar to this. We're reselling stuff. Like one guy in particular, I know he goes to just about every yard sale, flea market, or whatever, and just buys all kinds of stuff and resells it. And then another friend of mine, he dabbled in trading cards for a long, long time, where he would sell them on eBay and stuff like that. I've never done it personally, but I know a lot of people that have, and a lot of people that enjoy doing stuff like that. And if you come across the right items, there's some real serious money that you can make doing that.
Yeah, I could just imagine some of the stuff that they do. Like if you were to get like an old antique clock and fix it up and make it, pristine again,
Oh yeah,
that
for
would
sure.
probably go for a lot of money. I mean,
Oh
that's
yeah.
I saw a video on YouTube of a guy who was doing that for a side hustle, and he started off with only like $200 in his pocket, and by the end of his first week, he made like 1,400. By the end of the month, he was rolling in 4 or 5 thousand, and like by 6 months, he had other people working for him. He had a whole garage open, and he had just like a whole warehouse going with different things that he was selling just on cleaning couches and reupholstering them. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Uh,
if it's something you're into, that's gonna make you some money.
exactly. It's like we talked about last episode, where you, you ain't gonna know unless you try it. So some of these things you attempt, they don't work out, and you can't beat yourself up. You just gotta dust yourself off, try something else, and then there's like that instance where it worked for that dude. So you won't know unless you do it, bro.
Yeah. And then the third one I came up with, well, I didn't come up with, but I thought it was like a mystery shopper. I mean, like
Yeah.
going into a business and just like being a mystery shopper, seeing how the employees treat you and how well their services are, and the prices of different things, and comparing prices and different stuff like that. That'd be pretty fun though.
Oh yeah, I don't know anybody personally that I know of anyway that's ever done it, but I do know of it, having worked in restaurant industry for a long time. They'll send people in there, to kind of grade the service and quality of the food, etc. And then, you know, it'll be posted to the company website, and then we'll get like an email back about it. So yeah, I know it's a big deal for a lot of companies, because word of mouth is almost as important as anything else. So yeah, it's something to take serious.
Yeah, I think if I was to do something like that, I would probably consider that mystery shopper thing. That would be interesting.
Is there
Getting
any
paid
kind
to
of
go
side
around and
hustle?
shop at.
Is there any kind of side hustle that you've ever done personally?
So when I was in high school, I would go do yards and stuff to earn money to help buy new equipment. If I needed a new pair of cleats, my parents would be like, "Well, you need to go work for it. You need to earn it." So just doing different
Right.
things like that is what I did, like back in high school and stuff. So
I got you. Yeah, the only one I can think of I've ever really done, and I wouldn't even really consider it to be like a bit serious plan. It's just something I did if I knew somebody that needed it or whatever. Is when I was younger, I used to be in the car show scene or whatever. Used to go to a bunch of car shows, so I had a bunch of friends that were in that community or whatever, and they needed any kind of like audio, subwoofers, amplifiers, and stuff like that in their cars. I would do that for a little side gig from time to time. One thing I was never able to pick up was tinting windows. I tried a million times, and I'm just not a window tinter at all. Just wasn't my thing, dude.
I was looking at this. I need to get tint on my truck, and I was watching a YouTube video the other day to see how to do it. See if I could do it on my own. It looks simple, but it also looks hard. I mean,
Oh
it
yeah.
doesn't look to be that easy. I mean, it looks
Oh,
easy, but it doesn't seem to be.
Oh yeah, dude. I've watched them videos 1,000 times, and they make it look like it's just so simple. But once you go to do it, it's not at all. It's not even close to simple. But if you're just
Yeah,
looking at it, it seems like it's really easy. And it's pretty much self-explanatory, but trust me, it's not, dude.
yeah, it doesn't look that simple, um, but it does. It's one of those easier said than done things, you know.
Oh yeah, but there's a lot of little side gigs out there people have. If anybody that's watching, has one or would like to share one that you do or that you know of for discussing in a later topic, feel free to post it. We'll gladly discuss it. All right, and my next little thing is there anything that you like to do, in your downtime? Like, when you're not at work or at home, is there like certain hobbies that you do with your family or by yourself or whatever it may be?
So right now, I would say, yeah, my daughter's, my oldest one, she's in junior high and she's playing sports right now, and being able to help her get better and be a better athlete on the in the court or on the field, whichever one she's doing. Um, that's probably where it brings me pleasure seeing her succeed. Being a coach, it's kind of the same way. Seeing those kids succeed out there on the field is something that brings me pleasure. Um, but I also have to remember I have to be a dad first. I have to play the dad part and be like, well, you did good, this is, and then go into the coaching mode. This is what you
Yeah,
need to work on.
right.
So, and that's fun.
Yeah.
That's fun to do, being able to sit there. But like I tell her a lot, we hold her to a high standard. She can't do sports unless she's got a B or better in in school. So she's got to be maintain a B average in order to play sports, and that's something that I was held accountable for when I was in school, and
Yeah.
and that's what
Yeah. I mean, I
I
feel like
that's
that's
what I
fair.
hold her to.
I feel like that's fair
Yeah,
enough. I mean, because playing sports, it has a lot of benefits to it. You build character and all that type of stuff like that. So it's kind of like a reward. So if you're not upholding your grades or whatever, I feel like it's important. Yeah, I feel like that's a good value to instill in them, especially when they're young. Yeah, but my kids, they're pretty much older now, so where they kind of have their own little personalities and do their own things. I mean, they get along so great, but they're so different, dude. They're like night and day. My oldest daughter is real, girly girl, makeup and, all that type of stuff. My youngest daughter is more of a tomboy who likes to play video games. So, that's what I enjoy doing is just kind of doing whatever they like to do, whether it be, playing video games with my youngest daughter or watching my oldest daughter do little fashion shows. I'm down for it.
yeah. My youngest is my kids are kind of the same way. My youngest is more of a she's not very. She doesn't like to be athletic. She's pretty athletic, but she doesn't like to be athletic. She could do like back bends and different kind of cartwheels and different things like that. And my oldest one's just like, nope, I'm gonna go play softball, basketball, and volleyball, and I'm gonna stick to
Yeah.
those. And they're night and day. I mean, they argue and fight, but they get along so well. I mean, one will be there for the other one whenever they need it.
Well,
Um, it's
having come from a family with siblings or whatever, I remember growing up when we were kids or whatever, me and my brothers and sisters we were close, very, very close. It wasn't until we got older to where we kind of started, and I guess that's just life getting in the way with your own families and jobs and all that stuff. You kind of like fall apart. So I've always tried to keep my girls to, always be there for one another, no matter what. And so far, so good. They stick through each other. They got each other's backs, and they get along great. They're best friends for each other. So, I mean, I love to see that type of stuff.
Yeah, I can name off a couple funny stories that my youngest one has done. And it's just funny. It's just I'm not gonna get into it right now. Maybe later, but just some of the stuff that she does. She'll look at me like, do you want to square up? Do you want to square up? Do you want to fight? I'll throw these hands. I'm like, girl, you have no idea what you're doing. I was like, if you're gonna talk big like that, you better be ready because someone's gonna answer that door. you're gonna knock on that door, someone's gonna answer, and you're gonna be in a fight. So
Yeah, especially in today's world, man. It's so crazy, dude. I don't put anything past anybody. Anybody's capable of doing anything.
yeah.
I don't want to live like in a scare tactic world, but I just want to be aware, at my surroundings and what's going on at all times, especially being a father. My oldest
Mm-hmm.
daughter, she works now. She's got a full-time job, so she kind of does her own little thing. She's an adult. So, you know, I fear every day, not being around in case something happens or whatever. But, you know, hopefully I've raised her right to make her choose the right decisions and do the right things.
Yeah, that's the hard part about being a parent is making sure that you think you've raised them right, and then I could just imagine them doing something that I think is wrong, but in their opinion was right.
Right.
And I kind of have a little saying that goes along with right and wrong. I mean, you don't know if it's a wrong decision or a right decision, because we weren't there in the moment. In the moment, the decision that was made could have been the only decision that was available. you know. And then some people are going to disagree with that. Some people are like, well, there's always a right decision and a wrong decision. Well, yeah, there's always a wrong decision, right decision. But in the moment, this was all that was available to you,
Yeah.
and you got to go with what's available to you.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to that, decisions I feel like will be situational. It would just depend on what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And then
why would you
also,
put yourself in a situation like that?
yeah. And then also, like you said, I mean, just depending on what in the moment. I mean, if it's something traumatic or whatever, some people just don't really have time to make decisions. They just react. And most people fail in those situations. They make the wrong decision when they react the wrong way due to, something wild happening. Yeah. So, I
Yeah,
mean, it's
that
scary. It's scary out there, but I saw a video one day where a guy was talking about, somebody was asking him, what's the best thing about having children? And the dude was like, watching them grow up. And then he was like, well, what's the worst thing about having children? And the guy was like, watching them grow up. And I was like, dude, that's serious, dude, because it is a beautiful thing to watch your child grow up into its own person, their own character, and who they're going to be. But at the same time, they're getting older. So that's also sad watching them grow up.
yeah, they get big so fast. My oldest one's like, Dad, when am I going to learn how to drive? When are you going to teach me to drive? I was like, girl, you're 12 years old. You don't need to learn how to drive.
Yeah. Well, mine's 19 and she still doesn't want to drive. She's fine with me taking her around. I'm cool. I'm not trying to rush it, but
Yeah,
yeah, that little video I watched that day, man, that got to me because I never really thought about it like that. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing having children and watching them grow up, but at the same time, it's sad watching them grow up because one day, they're going to leave home and they're not going to be there anymore as that baby anymore.
yeah. One thing that I tell my girls is like, you guys got to take care of you got to learn how to take care of each other because one day your mom and I won't be here and it's going to be just you two and your family.
Yeah,
So you guys are going to have to be able to take care of each other. You got to have to look out for each other. So the more you argue and fight with each other, it's going to be harder to be able to take care of each other when you need to, when that time comes where you have to. So
yep, yep, I
I
agree.
hate I hate looking at the world like that, but that's what it really is. One
Well,
day
I
we're not
mean,
going to be here, and they're going to have to do it on their own. So
yeah, it's 100% true. I was talking to my youngest daughter the other day about, the world today versus what the world was like when I was coming up. I was like, when I was a kid, dude, we would get on our bicycles and we would be all the way on the other side of town. My mom didn't know where we were because we didn't have cell phones or anything, but it was just the world we lived in then to where, yeah, things happened, of course, but it wasn't as prominent as it is today. To where now I wouldn't dare let my daughter ride her bike further than where I can see her.
yeah,
I mean, and that's sad if you think about it, dude.
yeah. Back in the day when I was growing up, it's one of those. You know where all the kids are because the big old pile of bikes outside in the front yard. You,
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
if you see your kid's bike, you know they're there. We used to go to the wash and walk down the wash and have swings off the trees over the wash and stuff, and it's just kind of it's changed a lot. It's changed quite a bit,
Yep.
and I think that's a lot on our end too for being being in the mindset that we're in. I mean, I sit here and I don't want anything to obviously I don't want to have anything to happen to anybody's kids at all, but unfortunately things happen, and you can't change that. But
Right.
we can fix what we have, and with the bad people in the world today making things the way they are, um, it's just it is what it is. I mean, I hate saying it, but we brought it on ourselves as a society. So
Yeah. Maybe hopefully
not
someday,
every
we can get to a better place as a society and not continue to fall down this hole we're in over the last, I'd say, probably 25 years, maybe 20 years.
yeah. So what's your simple pleasure? I mean, I know you hit on it a little bit more, but I mean, what's other,
uh,
other than like
I mean, of course,
I guess outside of
I like to play the video games and stream when I have the time to stream and all that type of stuff. That's something I enjoy personally to do, just because, I've always been a gamer as far back as I can remember to Super Mario Brothers on Nintendo. I've always been a gamer. So, when in my downtime, that's probably most likely where you'll find me is Call of Duty, something like that.
yeah, you went exactly to where I wanted to go next. Last night we were playing. Last night,
Yeah.
last night was intense. I mean, that was some pretty good raids that we had last night. It was definitely
Yeah.
fun. It was a lot of fun actually.
Yeah. We had some
It's
pretty good ones, that's for sure.
yeah. Um, but my main point was wanting to get at was those 2 to 3 exfils that we had that we fought the teams at the exfil that we came out on top. We got really lucky at that point.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
so and you weren't even streaming last night, and I know you made the comment last night of like I should. Why am I not recording? Why am I not streaming? Why does this happen when I don't stream
Oh, yeah.
and
But that's
stuff?
usually the
So
way it works, man. And I think a lot of it has to do is like when we talked about streaming last time, when I said it's stressful, and it is stressful. I feel like
yeah,
it's in the back of your head. I mean, you're still doing the same thing that you would do whether you're streaming or you're not streaming. You're just playing the video game, but it's in the
your
back when
audience
you're
is bigger.
streaming. Yeah, when you're streaming, it's in the back of your mind that, oh man, there's people watching me. So I feel like that affects the way you play. Just for at least for me, I can't speak for everybody else, but at least for me, because I always have way better gameplay when I'm just playing versus when I'm streaming. When I'm streaming, of course, there's those moments where I'll have something, cool and, all that. But compared to when I'm not streaming, all the good stuff happens when I'm not streaming. Like you were talking about those X fills last night, dude. Had I been streaming, we probably wouldn't have made it.
Yeah, no, that's
Yep.
that's I agree 100% with what you just said. I mean, being even I don't stream, but being on somebody else's stream, knowing that they're streaming just rattles my nerves, and the audience is so much bigger, and just kind of
Yeah.
like we mentioned last week. We're worried about what people think and
Right.
what people how
Yeah.
they're judging us and stuff, and that's something we shouldn't worry about. So,
Yeah.
but
I
last
mean, you
night last
should.
night was pretty fun.
Oh yeah, it was definitely fun. I feel like that one that we had over there near the water by the zoo, where I called in the airstrikes on them. I feel like that was the top tier one because I thought we were for sure dead because we were getting pushed by all them tier 3 bots, and we were getting shot by the
Are you
players
there?
on the chopper. And how we made it out, bro, I'll never know. Sonny, you still there, man? I think we lost Sonny.
No, I'm still here. I was like turning my TV off.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but I don't know how we made it out of there, man. It was intense for real. And it came down to just me and you. The other guy we had with us was down, and then the fourth guy we picked up was also down. And we seemed to make it out of there.
Yeah, I ran out of bullets, and I just went in and started beating them with a gun. It worked out just fine.
Yeah, but that was some good stuff though. Yeah, but like we talked about last week with the streaming thing, coming from the world that I come from, you come from, where we enjoyed the game, and we're in a lot of the chats with other streamers and stuff like that. goes back to the quote that I gave last week is, just be who you want to be. And if it's something you want to do, just do it. And that falls in line with anything, no matter what it is. Just do it. You got to try. You always got to try. Like with this
Yeah, and
podcast, I know it's something we talked about for a little while, and then here we are. We're just doing it, dude.
yeah, we kind of just jumped in both feet right now. So
Yeah, I feel like
hope,
the
hope,
more we do it, and the more episodes we record, the better and easier it'll get. That's just the way it goes. When your first job as coming out of school, I'm sure you didn't know what the world to do. But after a while, you knew exactly what to do to where you didn't need anybody to tell you what to do. This is no different. Once you learn something, it comes second nature over time.
yeah, it seems that this is the only second episode, and it seems to be getting easier. The first
Oh
one,
yeah,
kind of nervous, kind of breaking the ice. But this one
yeah,
is kind of a little bit easier, a little more prepared.
yeah. I mean, it'll just continue to get that way. I mean, anything I've ever done in my whole life, regardless of what it was, at first is always stressful, worrisome, you're nervous, and, sometimes you may even freak out. But the more you do it, just the easier it gets. And then eventually you just do it because it's just, you got it down, you know what to do, you know how it's going to go.
So along with that, we're coming up on our final thoughts or words of wisdom, as I would like to say, the words of wisdom. Irish, do you have
Yeah.
any words of wisdom for our listeners or viewers?
I got a quote that I can give everybody, just something I feel like is true. And it comes from,
Sounds good.
the legendary Lou Holtz, the famous Notre Dame football coach, being a Notre Dame fan, of course. So he says, your talent determines what you can do. Your motivation determines how much you're willing to do. And your attitude determines how well you do it. So I feel like if you have a bad attitude, it can kind of deter everything, dude. It's always to have a positive outlook on life, on everything. Times get hard, times get rough, bad things happen, but you still got to have a positive attitude no matter what.
Yeah, that. I agree. I kind of think we were on the same mindset when we came up with the words of wisdom, um, because I have something similar, almost identical to that. Um, I don't know who it's by, so the author is unknown. Um, but I think yours is better. I think we'll just stick with yours for right now. Um, but yeah, it's like I said, it's almost identical to what you said.
I mean, there's so many quotes out there, dude, and there's so many motivational, you know, things. Is where when people get down, a lot of times that they'll just kind of self-sabotage or self-isolate, and I'm guilty of doing that. I've done that plenty in my life. But I had a teacher one time in high school tell me, to just kind of ignore it, go, and I'm like, that's so easy for somebody to say. It's just move on, things happen or whatever. But it's not that easy at times. But what you got to do is, like I said, you have to have a positive outlook. Bad things happen to everybody. Sometimes it seems like there's no light at the end of the tunnel, but trust me, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel, no matter what.
Yeah, that's spoken truly right there. So the quote that I was gonna have, the quote that I have, or the words of wisdom that I have, is courage doesn't mean you don't get afraid. Courage means you don't let fear stop you. And that's kind of along the line of basically what you were saying, just made more simple. I mean, well, in different text, but
Yeah,
I
well,
feel that it's along the same thing as what you just said.
I feel like it would fall more in line with the, just do it type of thing. Is, yeah, people, there's always fears and, stuff like that, but you just got to have the courage to do things regardless of the outcome. Sometimes you'll be successful, sometimes you won't, but don't let it deter you from trying different things, because eventually you'll find your zone, you'll find your mark, and everything works out. Nobody is a failure unless you don't try. I mean, just look at the famous Thomas Edison or whatever. Like, I think it was like 1,000 different ways to not make a light bulb. And then he finally landed on the one. Say he quit. and never gave, and oh, I just can't do it. I can't do it. Then, I mean, our world could be different today. But he didn't let his failures stop him. He just kept on and kept on and kept on until he got it right.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
with that,
I think that's an important, thing to have. It's just the courage, dude. The courage to be able to fail until you can succeed. You just got to do it. Sometimes you got to put your feet to the fire and go.
so just go out there and do it, and don't
It's good.
overthink it.
Yeah, as long as you're not harming anybody and you're being, rude and stuff like that. As long as it's a positive thing and it's something you dream to do, yes, do it. Try it. You won't never know unless you try it. People always have this self-image of themselves. Oh, I can't do it, man. That's, I'll just fail. I'll just fail. And they're so worried about failure. So what, dude? There's everybody on the planet has failed at one time or another at something that they've done. Even the most successful people out there. Look at Elon Musk, one of the most genius people of our time. Look how many times he failed with SpaceX on getting the rocket to land and launch and all that. And then now look at this dude. I mean, he's landed them exactly where he wants them. But say he quit, dude, that wouldn't be happening today.
Just keep moving, keep chugging, keep pushing.
Yep, yep, you got to, man.
Okay, so it has come that time again to wrap things up for today's episode. I'd like to thank everybody who's listening. Thank Irish for joining me on this episode today.
Thank you, sir. It's fun, man.
Make sure you guys subscribe to the YouTube channel. Don't overthink it. And then here shortly we'll be posting links, and we'll be posting some advertisements, some shorts and stuff that you guys can watch to that'll lead you to the YouTube channel, so that way we can hopefully catch your guys' attention. Leave a comment on what you guys want to hear and what you guys would like us to talk about. More than happy to talk about almost anything, out there. So I'm pretty comfortable about it. We'll discuss it, and then we'll go over it, and then we'll see as a team if that's something we want to do, and then hopefully it'll come up on our next episode.
Oh, and I would like to mention real quick that we do have our first guest set up. He's already given the okay to do it. We're just trying to work out all the kinks to be able to line it up to set the recording. But we do have our first guest coming up.
That's going to be exciting.
It is.
Yeah. I'm not going to say who it is, but it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be a real important discussion, maybe, about a lot of different topics from gaming community into real life. I think it's going to be fun, really.
Yeah, it's gonna be exciting. It's gonna be fun. Please don't miss out on it. Don't know what you're gonna miss.
All right, Donnie.
With that,
well,
stay safe, keep it simple, and don't overthink it.
Later, everyone.
See you guys.